Right, good day all. So we're on Surah 45 and it's about judgment. But before we go into the Surah, I want to make reference to something that we talked about in a previous Surah, and that is about when you're on a particular path, right? Certain things, your deeds or your works, right? Certain works of yours, right? When you take the path of reading the Quran, right, to the end, from beginning to end, right? Certain works of yours you might realize that you've done for your entire life has become worthless, right? Now I want to make mention that this is in reference to very particular persons, right? It's not in reference to any and everybody, right? Buddha is one, and it's reference that is relative to you, right? You are on a path, I am on a path, right? And the Quran is teaching us to let go, right? To let go, to detach ourselves. So if it is I am attached to my work, right? It could be assumed to be a form of vanity in a sense. You are attaching yourself to the things that you have done, meaning my effort I've put into this, all my energy I've invested in this. I've cried while I was doing this. I've expended so much emotional energy whilst I was doing this. I've invested so much of my sweat into doing this. I've invested so much of me, myself, my being, my essence into the production of this something, and I value it and I love it and I'm attached to it, and I want to keep it and I want to hold on to it, right? So the Quran is teaching us to detach from what? From our own attachments, right? Detach from the things that we did and we are so proud of and we feel so boastful about, in a sense that, hey, this is mine, right? And it's teaching us, hey, whatever that you've done, right? Tomorrow that thing might be inherited or belong to somebody else, because we might not be here today or tomorrow, right? So this is what it means. It doesn't mean like, hey, your work is nothing, right? It doesn't mean that, because when you leave here, somebody else is going to benefit from it, right? Your work will help somebody else, right? Your songs will help somebody else. Your writings will help somebody else, right? So it doesn't mean that your work is being discredited or is being not taken into consideration or is being thrown to the wayside. It's definitely not that. It is about you and helping you to detach yourself from the attachment that you have to your own self in the world, right? It's about detaching yourself from the attachment you have to your worldly self, right? That's what it is about, right? And in preparation for either, as I say, a new phase in your life or either leaving this life, right? So that is what that means, right? So continue the Surah 45, and it's talking about judgment, right? And fear and judgment, right? As I was saying, if you are a good person and so on, and know in your heart to be a good person, there's no reason to fear judgment. You will be willing to accept whatever is the outcome of your choices and the decisions you've taken in life, right? If you know you've done wrong, you will be able to, in your mind, your mindset will be, hey, well, I did XYZ, I should be prepared to face XYZ, right? So that is what judgment is. I don't like the term fear, because I am trying to rid myself of certain fears, right? And I don't like the term fear, right? I like courage. I've always been a courageous person. I like courage, right? Encouraging people to be courageous as well, to face their fears, right? Meaning to go and live your life bravely, right? Live your life bravely and not fear what once you are doing the right thing, act in courage in the things that you do, right? So courage is one of the things that is encouraged, right, on this path, right? We encourage you to be courageous in your actions, right? Take bold actions, take bold steps in the things that you want to do, right? And so far as it doesn't cause harm, right? And certain things should not cause harm to people, right? And certain things that people think cause harm to them is actually, they need to reflect on themselves, right? So take bold and courageous actions and take stances for the things that you believe in and believe and know to be true, right? So this is what this is about. This book is a revelation of the book from Allah, the exalted in might and wise, right? Indeed, within the heavens and earth are signs for the believers, and in the creation of yourselves and what he disperses of moving creatures are signs for people who are certain in faith, right? And in the alternation of night and day, and in what Allah sends down from the sky of provision, gives life thereby to earth after its lifelessness, and in his directing or redirecting, as the case may be, of winds, right? And these are signs for people who reason, right? So when the verses of Allah is being recited to you, do not persist arrogantly. Do not be arrogant as though you have not heard them, right? So you hear something being recited to you, right? Pause, take a moment, take it in, and do not be arrogant, meaning haughty, meaning pass it off. Hey, there's nothing, there's wrong, right? My way of life is inherently better, and I know better, right? Because you might just come to realize one day, or be humble one day in that process of thinking, right? So the Quran is in fact guidance. It is Allah who subjected to you the sea, so that ships may sail upon it by his command, that you may seek his bounty and perhaps be grateful, right? So this is something that has historical roots and all. This Surah 45 verse 12, right? Because it reminded me of, it brought up memories, and the Quran is about bringing up your subconscious memories, all these things, to collective thoughts, all these things. So this verse is reminiscent and reminded me of colonialism, British colonialism, and all that, and stuff that we would have gone through hurt in the past, and we are trying to emerge and come out of that as a people, right? And that is why in that process is a painful process, a hurtful process, is a lot of agony involved in that process as a collective being trying to come out of that hurt, right? And that may result in hurting others and hurting each other in the process, but that is the process of the collective coming out of that pain, right? So whoever does a good deed does so for itself, and whoever does evil against the self, right? So you are supposed to be, and we are supposed to be recompensed, right, for that which people earn. And if whether it's our ancestors who've been through certain things that should not have happened, or whether it's us as a people been through certain things that should not have happened, that recompense is supposed to take place, right? I don't know how nature is working or going to work to even out this, right? But it is something that is supposed to happen, right? Whether nature does it, whether we as a people through our own choice and action does it, right? But it is something that is supposed to happen, right? So the Quran is enlightenment for mankind and guidance and a mercy for people who are certain in faith. Right, so do not take any God, right, as your own desire, right? If Allah has given you a particular path, right, do not take any deity, I mean like idols, whether celebrity world or in the spiritual world, even the appearance, even for whoever it is, as idols. Meaning you worship them above everybody else. You try to make everybody else happy apart from Allah. Don't try to make Allah unhappy, right? And if the people around you or any worldly life is pulling you into certain directions, remember the path that Allah has placed you on, right? And even though that might bring unhappiness to those around you or those in the worldly life, you don't have to pay mind to that, right? Good. Right. So Allah causes you to live and causes you to die, right? Nothing can create or destroy except Allah itself, right? Nothing can create or destroy except Allah itself, right? Within Allah is time, space, everything, right? Allah is inside and outside of the universe, right? So every nation will be called to record and will be recompensed for what they used to do, right? Right. For those who believe and did righteous deeds, God will admit them into their mercy, right? And I want to make a point. Judgment, I don't believe is not a cut-off thing. Hey, this group of people wrong and this group of people right? It's a process, right? And that's how I would approach this, as it is a process, right? It's not that on a day of judgment, X people you're wrong and X people you're right, right? That's not how it should be approached, and that's not how my thinking is in terms of judgment. I don't know how Allah administers judgment to everybody in terms of the world, but in my estimation and understanding, right, one should be given an opportunity to work out things, right? To work out things at every level, right? Rather than on one day or on one period of time, hey, this set of people just cast aside, right? And woe to this group of people and woe to that group of people, right? Right, the promise of Allah is true and the hour is coming, right? So, been saying that. Right, and people will be enveloped by what they used to ridicule, right? So this line is actually showing us the variation in our diversity and perspectives, right? People would be enveloped by what they used to ridicule, right? So a certain group of people might see something and it might be contradictory to what they know all their life. Another group of people might see something and it will be contradictory to what they know for their entire life. And this is how Allah uses. That is what he says, you'll be enveloped by what you used to ridicule, meaning that, hey, you're going to see something, and that something is going to cause you to shift your perspective or make you think differently about some belief system you've held your entire life, right? So that's what that is. Right. So do not take the verses of Allah and ridicule, and let not the worldly life delude you, right? To him belongs all grandeur within heavens and earth, right? And he is the exalted, the mighty and the wise, right? So have a good day, everybody. To who is viewing this, the few people who view my videos, I want to take the time to appreciate you all, whoever has been viewing my videos, regardless of what your views is on it. I would just like to say I appreciate you taking the actual time to click on the video and to view it and to actually hear the perspectives and the notes and the revelations that has come directly from God, directly from Allah itself, right? So take care, everybody, and have a good day.